what happened with the whole the pipe and the brass knuckles thing?
Well, everybody was it was all an inside job. They knew that if I didn't die on that creek bank, that I was going to win. I mean, where I come from in Southern West Virginia, politics has always been that way. A judge come from Charleston, basically sentenced him to 5 years in prison, told the court right there to make sure they put something in his paperwork that says he does the full 5 years. And 4 months later, I run into him at Walmart. He didn't even do 4 months of jail, and they knew that I was going to win if I didn't get killed. So
it's amazing.
So this was
always been a contact sport?
It is where I come from. Well, we are definitely in a fight. I mean, that's just the way that it is. And I'm going to tell you, first off, thank you to each and every one of you all that are in this fight, because you are in this fight. If we don't take back the House and the Senate in 26, I think we may be done. And make no mistake about it, they're coming after us. They're coming after our disability. This is what they want to do. And I mean, we can either accept it, or we can, jump in the friggin' breach.
Absolutely. Go ahead. Well, I said today to somebody, I don't remember, maybe it was a video. I said today, there's a lot of people out there who thought that keeping their head down would keep their families safe. And after this Fifth Reich that we see happening now, after the flurry of ridiculous, unbelievably unconstitutional and illegal signatures on paper by an orange vice president, they may now realize that there is no such thing. Keeping your head down to keep your family safe when fascism is afoot, there is no such thing. Either you're fighting or you're laying down. There is no such thing.
Yeah.
And I apologize if I talk a lot, but I do talk a lot. I apologize. But
go ahead.
Here's the thing. Here's something also that people need to understand. I draw my retirement because I spent 20 plus years in the military. I draw my disability because during those 20 years, you sent me to combat zones, exposed me to everything. I've breathed in burning bodies. I mean, I've been on vehicles destroyed with depleted uranium. We've all been exposed to burn pits. That's why we deserve our disability. And right now, that's what they're talking. They're talking about saying, if you draw retirement, you shouldn't draw disability. And let me tell you something, if veterans aren't willing to let them know that the moment you start playing this, we're going to start fighting back. You're not going to take it. You want to take my Social Security. If you want to take away my Social Security, then why don't you write me a check right now of every single penny that I've ever paid into it? We got to start standing up and letting these people know that we're not going to take this. Let me tell you something. We have a billionaire class right now that is starting to run this country. And they don't care about you. They don't care about me. I don't give two shits about that daggone CEO that got unalived, because he don't give two shits about me. And at the end of the damn day, we gotta be willing to stand up and fight for what we deserve. We can't let a billionaire take from us. He has no concept of what struggle is. That guy was born to a father who owned a diamond mine. He needs to keep his friggin' Nazi ass out of here. But once again, we have a bunch of wannabe Nazis right now in charge of our country. And, that's why I have to get in this fight. Well, some of the things that we need to do when we talk to these people in the Democratic Party here in the state, let me tell you something. We need to right now start trying to find out who is above the age of 65 that now has to pay $400 to $500 a month for your insulin that you used to only pay $35 a month under Joe Biden. Because those people right there are prime folks for us to say, hey, this is what the Republican Party did against you. This is why you need to be back with the Democrats. This is why these are the people who matter the most. Every time Donald Trump does something that hurts people, when they go after SNAP benefits, then we need to be the ones out there looking for all these people that have their SNAP benefits taken from them and saying, look, the Republicans did this to you. Don't let this guy, because once again, these people are supposed to represent us. And what I'm seeing is we've got a guy that goes to Washington, D.C. He don't do jack shit for nobody. And then right about 6 months before the election, he shows back up here. And then he tries to say, hey, I vote for me. We gotta find those people. We can turn every single person that loses their SNAP benefits, every single person that's in poverty, that's getting screwed over by these Republicans because they don't care about poor people at all, never have, never will. We got to get those people on our sides, and we can do that by educating them on, they know they're losing their benefits. And when they lose them, we got to let them know that's the Republicans that did that to you.
I got to say, it does touch on one of the biggest problems that apparently everybody outside the DNC can see, and I know it's something we've discussed on previous shows, is messaging. Is that the Democrats do not know how to get at the message to emphasize this is what you lost with these guys. Here's what we're going to give you. Instead, it gets spun into arguments and nonsense, and it just we need someone who can cut through that.
Did you lose your $35 a month insulin cap? Make no mistake about it, we'll bring it back for you. It's that easy. It's that simple.
Practical question. So I'm telling people all the time, run locally, right? Because we know from Mr. Snyder himself with the book on tyranny, you can't allow for a single party system. This is what North Carolina is crawling to. I don't even know really where they are with the judge. It seemed like they won, and then they got it appealed again. But for both of you, actually, practically, what does it look like? How do you find that person who is over 65 and lost their $35 cap? How do you find that person?
We need a commercial. We need a commercial. We need a commercial right now that goes across all of North Carolina. And every state should be doing this. That says, did you lose your $35 cap on insulin? If you did, call this number. And then once they call that number, we speak to them and tell them, okay, listen, you've lost that. We're going to do our best to try to get that back for you. But we can't get it unless we get back in office. That's how we got to do it. We've got to give people the ability. And did you lose your SNAP benefits? Call this number. Were you denied insurance? Because you got sick, because that's what they're doing right now. They're setting the stage for insurance companies to be able to say, you paid into premiums for the last 30 years, but now you come down with cancer, and they're going to go, that's a little too expensive for us, so we're out. But then you get a house fire, and then they're like, well, we have to depreciate everything because that TV wasn't brand new. So instead of getting the $400,000 that you signed up for, they may give you $200,000. But at the end of the day, if you got screwed over, call this number. We need a hotline. We need a North Carolina hotline to where if a person loses their SNAP benefits, if a person loses whatever it is, a hotline to call, and then we take those people and we start letting them know what we want to do. And that's how we get people to stop voting against their own damn self-interest. I was in West Virginia.
Let me write the notes down. Hold on, Major. Let me write the notes down. Now we're talking practical.
What kind of resources would be involved in something like that? Just setting up something like that to buy that much airtime.
Well, we run commercials for campaigns all the time. It's just a commercial. You just got to contact. And once again, I don't know if the Democrat, because they're the Democrat Party of North Carolina, I don't know if they have to. Candidates have to pay a little more. When you do a radio commercial, you actually are going to pay a little more than an average citizen will pay. But at the end of the day, we just have to basically get a phone number and make sure that we got people that can man these phones, so that we can have people calling in on them. We got plenty of volunteers, people that want to volunteer. They can volunteer like that. You can answer phones for people who call that says, I lost my SNAP benefits. All we need to do is get your number. And then we can hell, I'll call people. I'll pick up you let me know somebody lost their SNAP benefits. I'll be more than happy to pick up the phone and call them directly. That's one of the reasons why I'm announcing next month. This is February, February 2025. The reason why is because I want to make sure that I dedicate the next 2 years to trying to meet as many people as possible and educate as many people as possible. I don't have the luxury of waiting 6 months out before I throw my hat in the ring. I've got to run. Now, make no mistake about it. There was a guy that ran that's probably going to primary me, but I'm hoping that he'll see, that what I'm doing is something that he would be more than willing to get on board with me. By next month is when we are going to officially announce. But you can go to the turnleftpack.org. And you can, you're not donating to me, but you can support the Turn Left Pack. But once again, in the middle of February, when I finally announce, then I've already got everything set up. My Act Blue account's already set up. Everything's done. I'm just waiting for the ability to go down to the Capitol in Raleigh and sign the check and take the photo.
I like this question that the Scrutinizer has. He says, how does one or more find qualified people to run for office? And then I have a qualifier after that. What's the answer to that? Okay. By the people who've done it.
Okay. Well, look, at the end of the day, what you need to do is you need to find people in the community that are very well known. With me, I had spent so much time away from West Virginia, but there were some things that I was a part of with social media. When I was in Haiti, I started posting pictures because I wanted people to see what we were witnessing with the earthquake that happened. And, people started sending me stuff that I could hand out, like shoes. And then when I went to Afghanistan, the same thing. I started a daggone shoe drive, and people from the poorest place you could think of in West Virginia were sending me boxes of shoes. Now, a lot of them were used shoes, but then there were some that were new. And, over the course of a year, this saved my life. Let me tell you something. I don't know if you've been, Tim, to Afghanistan, but I worked on a 2-man team, and I would go out and we would be an hour away from any military at all by ourselves. It was me. I had an NCO with me. I had a mechanic, and I had an interpreter. And, I'm going to tell you that I started sending pictures. We gave over 6,000 pairs of shoes over the course of that year. When we first got to Afghanistan, when we went on our first missions, I'm telling you, I drove through villages where people looked at us and did this with their thumb. And you can't shoot nobody for that. They've had a gun, I could do it, but I couldn't for this. Let me tell you something. After we started stopping at the edge of their village, and I would scream, "Baksheesh, baksheesh," which is gift. These little kids would come running. We set them kids on the back of the truck. We'd take off their hair. 90% of the time, they'd be wearing like a flip-flop and a boot. Nobody had matching pairs of shoes over there. So we took those off and we put new shoes on their feet, and then they ran back in. After about 2 or 3 times of doing things like that, then all of a sudden the village elder walked out with those kids and then invited us into their home and gave us food, treated us with kindness. And then when we drove through, those same people that did this were now smiling and waving at us. It saved our lives, but everybody got to watch that. So when I returned to West Virginia, I started a nonprofit, and everybody pretty much knew about me. And once again, when you're in some of the poorest areas in the country and you're putting shoes on kids' feet, people appreciate that. What we got to do is we got to find the people in the community. If there's a restaurant owner that knows everybody, that's your guy. If there's a person that let's say he's a very popular coach or something like that's got his head on straight, that's your guy. There's if you got like where I come from, West Virginia, coal miners. There is a few coal miners that are known by everybody. That's your guy. Find one of those guys. That's what you got to do. We've got to find people that the community can get behind. And make no mistake about it, we also have to educate at the same time. Because once again, if all these people are doing is watching Fox News, then they're not knowing what's really going on. The only way they realize that they've been screwed is when their SNAP benefits get cut, when their welfare gets taken, when their Social Security disappears. That's when we will have an easy time saying that's what they did. But we have to be ready to educate these people.
Where we are now is not like you in 2020. You, Major Ojeda, in 2020 were able to change votes where you were from MAGA to you. In those past 5 years, all of the people on the right have made so many little yeses, so many little agreements, so many small agreements with the devil that now I find it hard to believe or find a way. I don't want to not believe it, but I'm just telling you, the amount of agreements that they've had to make and that has changed and contorted their minds into believing that the person telling them that they want to throw them out when they get there, and called them a rapist as they were coming down the escalator, and they still think they can vote for them. The amount of agreements that they had to make this decision. Now, that person, do you really still believe you can get that person to change?
Yes.
And if so, how do you do it without stopping a Fox News? What is it? One Nation, one ONN, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They also got that too.
Yeah,
One America.
One America.
Let me tell you something.
Okay.
We're about ready to watch Smartmatic take another $787 million from Fox News. They've already said that they will not take a penny less than Dominion got. And that's going to be big news. And let's hope that's enough to daggone put Fox away. But regardless, you know, but every single thing that Donald Trump does and is doing, we have to be willing to throw that in their face. You know, there's no Latino, there's no Hispanic, you know, anybody, if they're still in this country when these 4 years are over with, or let's say 2 years, because we have to win 26. Let's say they're still here, then we should easily be able to let them know this is why you have to support us. I mean, these are the people that have already started deporting, you know, people that are Latino and Hispanic. You know, they're waking up. They're realizing that, holy shit, Donald Trump told us everything that we wanted to hear. And that's what we have to tell them. We got to tell them. We say, you know, he told you everything that you wanted to hear. But the moment that he got back in power, well, he stabbed you in the back. And that's a fact. You know, oh, by the way, the evangelicals can't even get him on the phone because he don't need them anymore. Donald Trump is absolutely as crooked as Gargamel's pecker. That's just the way the guy is. I apologize. I have that language.
Don't ever fucking apologize on this fucking channel.
Then we're good.
Fucking profanity.
Here's my question: when did he make them feel like he was going to protect them? That's the disconnect. At what point did he say, "Hey, Latinos, I'm here to protect you"?
Well, this is the thing. He never gave his plans away. He never showed his cards. He made them think whatever you need, I've got. Well, I'll lower the price of groceries in the first day. I'll lower the price of gas. I'll stop the war in Ukraine. Donald Trump told them everything that they wanted to hear, and they believed him. But once again, a man who told over 30,000 verified lies in his first term, and now all of a sudden he's telling the truth. Let me tell you something. The real people in this country that should be absolutely, as far as I'm concerned, arrested are the Sean Hannitys. Those people that absolutely bring him on and give him softball questions, and they know he's dumb as a stump. Donald Trump is absolutely the dumbest man, the laziest man to ever occupy the chair. He probably can't spell White House. But daggone it, once again, these people support him because they win with Donald Trump. They get to be the worst versions of themselves under Donald Trump. Let me tell you something. When these next 2 years are over with, I think most of the Republicans, I think the Republican members of Congress are going to realize that if they don't turn on Donald Trump and start taking up for the American people, ain't none of those assholes going to get reelected.
But I really worry that because of the real true cult mentality, that it's going to be very hard to convince any of these maggots that Trump and the regime that they're to blame for anything, because they can blame anybody and they'll fucking believe it.
Yeah,
I'm of the mindset where we need to start thinking about deprogramming fucking businesses, centers.
You need something that cuts through the programming, something that gets to them, because everything is a house of cards, right? It's all predicated on Trump is always right, Trump always wins. If anything bad happens, it's somehow magically convoluted to be those people or this guy over here, or you need something that is just so jarring.
People don't like to admit when they're wrong.
They
don't
like
it.
You need something to tell them these people are getting pissed on their back and they're turning around with their mouths open. There is what you're saying about the what's jarring. I don't think there's anything. Those little agreements that they've had to make have turned enough of them into something that is unrecognizable. They're looking at somebody do a Heil Hitler on national television,
Yes.
and they're like, "No, he's just
And they're-
autistic." Please,
Yeah, they're making excuses for it.
Yeah.
right. The best thing that you have going for you is how to get out those people who are hurting. The only thing that will win is this guy hurting them constantly, continuously.
Yeah.
Now that Latino lady who's crying, there is nothing you can tell her, ever told her. Donald Trump could tell her right now, "You're dirty and I'm sending you home. Tell you where you came from." And she would go, "He didn't mean it," until she starts crying. So the best thing we have going for us is that he's going to actually do the nasty, disgusting things he's going to do. And we can get those phone calls. We can do those phone banks. We can now say, bring up those. That's why the best question that I've seen on here was, how do we find those people? Because now that we can actually get those are the only people who will change when they feel it. My dad used to say, if you can't hear, you must feel, from Jamaica. Right?
Yep.
So if you're not going to listen, you get a spanking.
But,
Here
but
it
now-
is. Fafo.
Yeah,
Fafo.
you're right. But I mean, the things that they want to do, when they come after our military benefits, there's not one daggone person that draws benefits that's going to be acceptable of that.
Right.
That's a fact. And once again, sticking Pete Hegseth as the Secretary of Defense, that was the worst decision on the that's ever took place. I mean, this guy, no offense, he did his time in the National Guard. And once again, I'm not throwing stones at National Guardsmen, because if it wasn't for the National Guard, us active duty folks would have never come home, But I'm going to tell you, this guy is not the one. Normally, a person that takes that role is a retired admiral or general with 40 years. Look at General Lloyd Austin's resume. He was actually a commander in the 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment as a brigade combat team. And I'm telling you, he is a leader. He is a leader. Pete Hegseth is not. He don't know what he's doing. And I don't think it's going to last very long. And once again, what we just recently saw with the Air Force pushing back, saying, "I'm sorry, but we're not going to remove the Tuskegee Airman education from our curriculum." Well, that's not going to happen. That's what we need. We need more general officers that are willing to stand together and say, "We're not going to let you destroy our military." Make no mistake about it. The one thing that Pete Hegseth is going to try to do for Donald Trump is give Donald Trump his dictatorship parade. And I guarantee you Donald Trump's going to try to get him to do one of those things, down the street in Washington, D.C., because that's the kind of person that he is. But let me tell you something. If they take your SNAP benefits, if they have removed your cap from insulin, we got to start finding these people. That's why it's important for us to do something. Get together, put our heads together, figure out how we can man a call center where we are getting where we're getting calls from people that this is happening to. Because that's how we have to let these people know. If we are successful, we're going to bring those things back. If we're successful, I want to remove the cap off of Social Security, so Social Security will be here for everybody for the rest of our lives, for our children's lives. And we can do that if we have anybody that's got the balls to remove the fucking cap. There are things that we can do as long as we got the balls to do it. When I become a senator in West Virginia, even the Democrats told me, "Do not push medical cannabis." And I was like, "Fuck you. This helps people with PTSD." Let me tell you, I got 13 dog tags right there. And when I gave my final speech on the last day of the legislative session, I held up those 13 tags. And I said, cannabis will not bring these people back, but cannabis will help those people that hear their screams and see their faces when they go to sleep at night. And when I was done with my speech, at least 5 Republicans stood up and said, "We wasn't going to vote for that, but because what you said, now we are." And we made it pass. We got medical cannabis passed in West Virginia. You got to be willing to fight those battles.
And you would think that somebody that claims to be a American and claims to appreciate the veterans and the soldiers that went to war so that we can enjoy the freedoms that we're used to enjoying, you would think that the people that support that would be against the mother unraveling all of that. But for some reason, we live in some weird timeline where they're talking about what's wrong with transparency and auditing books. Nobody voted for Elon. I don't give a how much money he has. He's turned X into this laughing stock of extreme right-wing media with bullshit fact-checking, and some people believe it. Some people saw that video, that AI photo of Donald Trump walking through floodwater when that hurricane hit North Carolina. Somebody saw, some MAGA supporters saw that clearly AI-generated photo and said, look, there goes my president. What the how stupid, how fucking stupid can y'all be? In any normal, sensible society, Elon Musk would be in prison. In any normal, sensible society, Donald Trump would be in prison. In any normal, sensible society, all the Republicans that go against their oath to represent the people that fucking voted for them, and they simply fall in line with Donald Trump, would lose their position and be in jail. And the fact that all of that is not happening lets you know the current state of the American government. It's all wild, wild west. There are no rules from the federal government now. Now there's just rules from Trump. Does that sound like a democracy to you? Mark my words, I will be on that fucking battlefield before I sit here and watch some billionaire motherfucker try to turn the country I was born in, I grew up in, into some dictator oligarchy bullshit.
Follow us on all these things you see here, and our link tree is in the description. Maybe even get some merch.